Alright, so we got Steve Lemou's engine back here from a lifter failure he had last year on the drag week tour. And so we have it back on the stand. We just finished this thing up, trying to get it ready for him for the Pontiac Nationals and this year's drag week. I'm going to show you some pictures of the lifter and the camshaft that failed, and the rod bearings we took out of this engine too. The rod bearings actually look really good in this engine. This is the lifter that failed. These are, I'm not going to mention the brand name, but they are an axle fed or pressure fed axle on these things. So we don't really know why it failed. It looks like it got hot though, because the axle is black. So my guess is that it just fatigued and couldn't take the abuse from the trip, you know, being on the road or whatever, and the spring pressure these things have. But it kind of tore up the cam lobe too a little bit, so we had to get another camshaft for him as well. Here's the rod bearings out of this engine. Now, you guys may have seen Steve run, maybe you didn't, I don't know, but this thing's not been abused, but it's been run pretty hard, and those bearings look pretty darn good. I didn't see any of the main bearings, but they look the same as these rod bearings do. So our bearing clearance must be spot on with this engine, which is awesome. And I do believe that Steve runs Valvoline VR1 racing oil, and this is what he runs. But so we're going to light this thing up, let you guys hear it. We got a custom ground cam in. I couldn't get the exact setup that we had in the engine. It's a little bit different than what he had last year, but pretty close. It's 280, 288 at 50 with a 440 lobe and a 108 lobe separation. So, and last year I believe his was like 276, 284 or something like that, yeah, with a 110. So it's pretty close. And Steve runs a fuel injection setup on that. We just have it on the run stand, so with a Holley Dominator carburetor, so we could run it and break it in, do the initial break in, retorque the heads, readjust the valves. We always cut a filter apart, make sure there's no debris in it, and check that. But and then just make sure there's no oil leaks on this thing too, so when he gets it, he can just drop it in. But yeah, so what we need to do is we'll fire this thing up, Brandon, and maybe we'll run with open headers too. Grab the gloves and we can pull the mufflers off. All right, go ahead and fire it off. thing idles nice, right around 1200 RPM. Engine runs nice and cool. I don't know, we didn't take the thermostat out of this, but I believe it must have a 180 in it because it's about what it runs at when it's completely warmed up. This is a 1050 CFM Dominator that we have that we test here with. These are Tiger heads that are on this. The Tiger heads that I designed back in, I don't know, early 2000 I believe it was. This is an aluminum block too. Good, pull them mufflers off, Brandon.